From everyone at the News Minute, a happy new year and a happy news year to you. 15,946 crores. That's the amount of money that political parties across India have made through electoral bonds from 2018. 15,946 crore rupees. And who is the biggest beneficiary of electoral bonds? The BJP, of course. How do we know this? The data split is available till 2022. Till then, 9,188 crores had been donated by individuals and companies to political parties. Of this 9,188 crores, the BJP got 5,272 crores, that's almost 57% of the money. The Congress got around 900 crores or 10% of the money. The rest of the money was given to other regional and national parties. So what are electoral bonds? They're actually interest-free bearer bonds or money instruments that you or I or any company can buy from the State Bank of India. They're available in various denominations like rupees 1,000, 10,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakh and 1 crore rupees. It was introduced by the BJP government in 2017. Electoral bonds are supposed to give anonymity to the donor. So if I donate money, nobody knows I donated money, how much money and to whom. From 2018, electoral bonds have been sold in India across 29 phases. So during these phases, the State Bank of India branches will sell these electoral bonds for a period of 10 days. My colleague Janvi went through the data of 29 phases and found something very interesting. Now this data was procured through RTIs from SBI by Commodore Lokesh Batra. He's someone who's been fighting the system of electoral bonds both inside and outside courts. So what did the data throw up? It showed that the most number of electoral bonds was sold just before various phases of election. Now, as you can see from this chart, the biggest two spikes happened in April and May 2019. That was just before the Lok Sabha elections. The third spike comes in February 2022. That's just ahead of the Uttar Pradesh and Punjab Assembly elections. The fourth and fifth spikes come in October and November 2023. That's just before the assembly elections to Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh and Mizoram were held. Now, though 5 states went to polls, the highest amount of bonds was sold in the SBI's Hyderabad branch, rupees 377 crores in October and rupees 359 crores in November. The 6th highest sale of bonds happened in the first half of April 2023. That was just days ahead of the Karnataka Assembly election. Well, you get the drift, right? Electoral bonds are sold the most when elections are round the corner. And who benefits the most? The BJP, of course, at least till now, and a few regional parties who are in power in different states. So now let's look at why did the BJP introduce a system of electoral bonds? It was done in 2017 by the then Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, who said in his budget speech that this was the way to cleanse the electoral system. In fact, Arun Jaitley said this reform will bring about greater transparency and accountability in political funding while preventing future generation of black money. So the government's argument was this. Till then, a lot of people were funneling black money into political parties and that's how political funding was happening. If it's an electoral bond, then it is through a bond which is issued by SBI and there is some account of it. But that is where transparency stops. In fact, there is no transparency at all beyond this and the entire system is opaque. That's because the donor, whether it's an individual or a company, need not disclose how much money has been given and to whom it has been given. It need not even mention that on the bond itself. The political party is also under no obligation to tell anyone, including the Supreme Court, the government, the people, how much money they've got and from whom. So there is no transparency. It is a completely opaque system. Now, the story does not begin with what Arun Jaitley said in the parliament, but it begins when the government mooted amendments to the Finance Act to various other acts. These amendments have been criticized by a lot many people who care about democracy and the Indian Constitution. So what were these amendments? The first amendment was that the government removed the limit or a cap which corporate companies had. The previous cap was that they could donate only 7.5% of their net profit in the past 3 years as donations. The second amendment made was to the Income Tax Act. Parties were exempted from keeping a detailed record of electoral bonds. The third amendment, which many people are opposed to, is the amendment to the FCRA Act. The government, through this amendment, allowed all foreign companies which have Indian subsidiaries to make donations to political parties. So what does that mean? if you're a foreign company, let's say if you want to do some lobbying with a political party, how do you do it? You can make your Indian subsidiary give donation to the political party that you want to convince or please. So now you must be wondering, if electoral bonds are so bad, why didn't someone oppose it? Well, people did. In fact, people in the Reserve Bank of India and Election Commission of India did oppose and write to the union government. I recommend that you read this series of stories done by journalist Nitin Sethi in Huffington Post called Paisa Politics. In these 5 stories, Nitin Sethi brought about a lot of documents, of course, some of them provided by Commodore Batra, which showed how the Election Commission of India and RBI said electoral bonds are a bad idea. The Election Commission of India at that time told the Union Ministry of Law that if electoral bonds are made legal, then a lot of foreign companies will do illegal funding to Indian political parties. The Election Commission also warned that electoral bonds will make political parties, people, industrialists, etc. make shell companies and route money to political parties. The RBI said that electoral bonds will corrode the trust that people have in the banking system and that it will further encourage money laundering. But then, who cares? In 2017, Arun Jaitley brought the electoral bond system and said, we are going to cleanse the Indian political system. In fact, for all those people asking, where are journalists, where is the media, why are you not doing enough stories? Let me tell you, a lot of investigative stories have already been done on electoral bonds. One such was done in the Quid by Poonam Agarwal, where she bought 2 electoral bonds and she showed that they had alphanumeric codes. Now, what has the government been saying all this while? That it's a completely anonymous donation system where the donor is not known. So what Poonam showed is that there are these alphanumeric codes, which means the SBI does keep track of who is giving what money and to whom. Now, will the SBI give this data to the government? We do not know. If the government does get this data from the SBI, can they give it to the CBI, the ED, the Income Tax Department and many others and target those companies or people who donated money to parties which are not the ruling party? This is all possible, right? After all, it's a democracy where we want to cleanse the electoral system. Many people and organizations have gone to the court against electoral bonds. The Supreme Court of India, a 5-judge bench headed by Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, actually had a marathon hearing a few months before and they've reserved the judgment. They've asked the Election Commission of India to give a list of people who have donated and to which political party. What will the Supreme Court decide? We do not know. But we can look at what the arguments have been. Prashant Bhushan, one of the lawyers who appeared in court, said that this is an opaque system which actually encourages money laundering. Kapil Sibal, who appeared for a Congress leader, said that capital symbolizes power in the concept of market economy. Basically, if you have more capital, you have more power. So if you have more money as a political party, you have more power to win elections. He also said that elections are supposed to be free and fair. That means political parties should have equal ground. So when one party gets 57% of donations from thousands and thousands of crores that are donated, then how is it a level playing field? A lot of arguments have been set forth before the Supreme Court, but what did the union government, the government that represents you and me, tell the court? The union government said that citizens, which is you and me again, don't have the right to know who funds a political party. In fact, the government told the court that citizens don't have the right to know everything and there has to be reasonable restrictions. So it's understandable that political parties need funding and during election season, they need more funds. Therefore, corporate companies and others will donate more during election season. All that is understandable, but there are lots of questions unanswered. One, are corporate companies and people under pressure to donate to a certain political party? Second, what is the benefit that a corporate company is getting when they donate to a political party? There was a story a few months ago about this hospital group called Yashoda Hospitals in Hyderabad, which donated 10 crore rupees to the BJP just 10 months after they were raided by the Income Tax Department. Stories like this are there from all across India, where companies or entities have been raided or there are cases against them by the ED, etc. and immediately they donate to the BJP. So these companies definitely are under pressure. The second, let's say a company gets a huge project. It's an infrastructure project, something like that. Have they donated to the regional party which is in power in the state? Have they donated to the party which is in power at the center? These are questions that we citizens have a right to ask and we should get the answers. because our companies getting projects on the basis of how much donation they make to parties. Elections in India are unfortunately all about money. While covering elections in Telangana and Karnataka, we were told that in Karnataka, candidates were spending anything between 15 to 30 crores per constituency, while in Telangana, that amount was higher from 20 to 50 crores depending on how rich the candidate is. Now, according to Election Commission of India's rules, in a Lok Sabha constituency, a candidate can spend only up to 95 lakh rupees, and in an assembly constituency, that cap is around 40 lakh rupees. But that's really a big joke. All of us know that political parties spend money, crores and crores of it for every constituency. So while the candidate himself or herself may not be spending the money, political parties do. And when political parties get opaque funding like this, what stops them from flooding money into elections? So let's hope the Supreme Court of India does realize that electoral bonds are not about transparent funding. And for all those watching, these issues are really not about for or against the BJP, for or against the Congress, for or against a regional party which is making a lot of money through electoral bonds. But these issues are really for or against democracy. They are for or against people like us. Do keep watching No Filter with Dhanya Rajendran. I'll be back next week with a new topic. And remember to become a subscriber of the News Minute. We have lots in store for our subscribers. We have paywall stories, we have podcasts, and a lot more things. Thank you.